Hello everyone, welcome back once again to another video, and this time we're gonna check out the GeForce RTX 4060 in The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, and we got the Gigabyte Eagle OC model of the card. Here are all the specs, and we got the NVIDIA driver 572.83, which is latest as of time I'm recording this video. Resizable bar is also enabled inside BIOS. Over here in Task Manager, we got the Intel Core i7-13700K CPU. For memory card, 64 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megatransfers per second, CL36. And finally, for MSI Afterburner, no overclocks are applied. Everything is set to stock settings. So let's get inside the game and check out the frame rates. Before we get started, we have manually overwritten the DLSS model from the NVIDIA app. Alright guys, we're starting this off with 1080p resolution using Digital Foundry's optimized graphics settings. And this is for the RTX 3060, which they have shown. And since we don't have a 3060, we have a 4060. So we're going to use that. So these are the settings. Feel free to look at that. And there are sub settings also under this triangle, whichever options have this little triangle over there. So as you can see, I'm literally using their settings, except I have turned off motion blur and depth of field, which I have made it to like cinematic only, and motion blur is off. Other than that, everything is pretty much the same as their recommended optimized settings for the 3060. Okay. So we are in the jungle sequence once again, one of the most very demanding areas of the game, or the levels. I don't know if you will encounter any more demanding areas throughout the rest of the game because I've never played it. But by the looks of this, we are getting 80 FPS. That is fantastic. I wasn't expecting this much from the 4060 with the optimized settings. I mean, we might be able to increase a few more settings here and there to improve the quality maybe, and still stay above 60 FPS. And I am gonna do this video a bit differently. I'm gonna test the optimized settings in all the resolutions first, that is 1080p, 1440 and 4K, and then we will test other presets like high, medium, all that stuff. And I don't think we can test very high with this GPU. We can try it at 1080p. But yeah, this looks pretty playable experience. The frame time is pretty smooth as well right now. Let's go ahead and see if we see any spikes on the frame time. I don't think we will.
Guess I was wrong. Turns
Because
out
this is pretty good, looking pretty good at the same time with the optimized settings, I would say. And the VRAM also is well underneath 8 gigs, so shouldn't be an issue. We shouldn't see those spikes that much. And look at the 0.1 and 1% low also. And by the way, the 3060, since this optimized, there's a lot more LOD pop-ins I can notice on the trees there as I walked in. That's gonna be an issue with this game with a bit lower settings, especially medium settings, which most of the options are set to. So we were at the jungle area, and that is the most intensive. So we see 80 FPS around there, 75, 80. So let me go to the downtown area, see what happens there. I'm gonna load my save for that. So here we are in the downtown district, and we're getting 85 now.
Why would they do that?
And it might even reach 90 FPS at some point. Dropping to 74 there. There we go, 90 FPS.
Seems like overkill. Well,
not bad. This is pretty playable if you can deal with those LOD pop-ins at the distance. That's gonna be an issue, you might notice. Now, I mean, we generally don't need to use DLSS Frame Generation. We're getting close to 90 FPS, but still many of you might ask me later on to test frame generation, so here it is. So right now with frame generation on, we're getting 130. There you go. It might drop here and there to 120s, but it's pretty smooth experience in terms of the input lag.
I go crazy.
And it's there we go, 50 millisecond PC latency. And let me tell you, it's not noticeable that much with the mouse.
No way.
It's not as good as the Assassin's Creed Shadows frame generation implementation, but this is still good. As long as you get like above 90, 100 FPS, you shouldn't be able to notice it that much with mouse. If you want those high frames, you can use frame generation on top of optimized settings, and you might be able to increase a few more settings here and there, because this is generally the optimized settings is for the RTX 3060 and not for the 4060. So we can try improving the image quality a bit more. Now we're going to test the same settings, that is the optimized settings from Digital Foundry with 1440p resolution using DLAA. And here are the settings once again if you would like to see them. They're pretty much the same except depth of field, which I have made it like cinematics only and turned off motion blur because I don't like them. And FOV is set to 0. So here we go once again in the forest area. We're getting like below 15 now. And this is where we'll have to use like DLSS quality to achieve 60 plus. I mean, that's a better experience overall than playing on native 1080p. You should play on 1440p and then use quality DLSS. That looks way better than native 1080p in my opinion. I've always been saying that. The game is slightly more demanding on the CPU side. And I don't understand why. It shouldn't be, but it is what it is, unfortunately. And right now we're getting 50 FPS average like that. And the frame time is still smooth for now. Let's walk a bit more and then see what happens.
Here we go.
And the VRAM usage is still the same as it was before, because we are utilizing high textures. And don't try to use very high, because 8 gigs of VRAM won't be enough and you'll see a huge frame drops. And I think this is a much more playable setting than using like very high or even high settings. Because when I was streaming with this GPU earlier yesterday, even with high settings at 1080p, the frame time would create huge plateaus and the frame rate starts to drop. But it's not happening with these optimized settings, so that's better actually. So I have enabled some quality DLSS now, and at 1440p resolution, we are still using the Digital Foundry optimized graphics settings.
You said you enjoy
So let's check this out. We're back in the forest area, and as you can see, we are getting 79, 80 FPS. Pretty fantastic experience. That's a big gain we got from like mid 50s to like high 70s. I mean, this is gonna be a very well playable experience, I would say. But still, you will have to deal with those LOD pop-ins at the trees, at the distance on the trees. And there's especially the shadows which would pop in on the trees. That's the problem. But we have no other option, right? We have to like look at the grass and plants also. The bushes, they're popping in out of nowhere suddenly. But we don't have other options, so we'll have to stick with these optimized settings.
Turns out you do know where you're going.
And we will also try using the high preset and very high at 1080p, especially the very high. I don't think at 1440p it makes sense to test very high settings. But regardless, it's working pretty well and pretty smooth. This is how you should be playing if you have a 1440p panel. You should be good to go with the 4060 with these settings, with some upscaling, obviously. And we can even try using frame generation on top of this to gain probably 100 FPS. Let's check that out. Let me enable DLSS frame generation on top of this. Apply. It takes a while to apply. And I probably have to restart the game because it doesn't seem to be working. It happens sometimes, so let me quickly restart. And now as you can see, it's actually working. We're getting 100 FPS sometimes. And we're getting 90. That's not a big gain overall in 1440p like it was at 1080p resolution, but it is a gain regardless. And the latency is kind of there. I can notice it because in this game, if you can get above 90, that's when it becomes kind of negligible with the mouse. But above 80, you might notice it, but you can get used to it overall for a game like this. And on a controller, you cannot notice it. I've already tried it. So that's there. But looking pretty good at the same time. Can't notice any artifacts or weirdness in the image.
Whoa, is that the QZ?
Quite a decent implementation. But look at our GPU utilization. It's like stuck at 89%. And probably it's bottlenecking at this point by something. The CPU or something, who knows what. Even a 4060 is bottlenecking at 1440p. It's actually an issue with this game. I am seeing other benchmarkers also having, like, especially in this gate area,
WLF.
the GPU
Trespassers
usage goes
killed on
down
site.
for some
That's
reason.
friendly. At least
But
we know we're in the right
we're
place.
still getting 100.
Where is
Now
it?
I have switched it to 4K resolution, and also I've restarted the game, don't you worry. And we're using DLSS performance and the Digital Foundry optimized settings, and as you can see, the FPS already is not good. Even with performance DLSS, we are getting like 49, 50 FPS. This is still playable, and image quality also looks pretty good with performance DLSS, especially when you have overridden the DLSS model from the NVIDIA app. With DLSS 4, the transformer model, it looks pretty good. But don't try this without overriding the model, because DLSS 3 looks pretty bad in this game. But yeah, you can get away with these frames if you can. Maybe if you're gonna play on a 4K TV or something, then shouldn't be a problem overall.
Looks like there's some cracks up there in the wall.
We can try using some frame generation, see how much we can get as well. Now I have turned on DLSS frame generation. As you can see, not a big difference at all at 4K. And also I've restarted the game after turning on frame generation. And it makes no difference, honestly. So you are better off without frame generation because the latency is unbearable right now. Look at that, 101 milliseconds. You are just better off without using any frame generation at 4K. So now we are back at 1080p resolution, guys, using DLAA once again. And we are using the high graphics preset. And also, I'm not going to use TAA for this video because TAA looks absolutely bad. It's blurry mess, so stick to DLAA. You do get like 10 FPS boost if you use TAA, but by the quality of the image, I wouldn't even consider using TAA. I don't need that 10 FPS. Well, as you can see with high settings, we're getting like 76, 75 over in this jungle area. And I mean, it's pretty much the same almost as the optimized settings gave us, but I think the optimized settings gave us a little bit more.
Yeah, we're getting close.
But let's check this out. And I really hope we don't see those frame time graph going up and down at times. It sometimes like happened when you go into a new area or when you enable this wall hack thing.
Guess I was wrong.
That frame time would go up for a few seconds and then come down and everything becomes fine again. I don't know if you are gonna encounter that over here. I'm at the downtown area now. There's still lot of LOD pop-ins going on, but it's way less noticeable than the optimized settings. It is there, obviously. And we're getting 80 plus over here.
Usually worked. On the infected or the rebels.
What I want to see is that frame time go up and down. But it's probably not going to happen now. You can watch my live stream when I was testing the GPU. It did happen in that case.
Probably just become one more asshole soldier.
Maybe if I go in this building where there's a lot of infected, it might happen. Let's have a look. There we got some infected. I mean, it's running fine for now. I'm not sure what was happening when I was streaming. Now, again at 1080p resolution, we're using the very high preset this time. And this is almost maxed out. Only if I change this to 16x, it's gonna be maxed out. But we're gonna leave it at very high.
You said you and Joel ran into.
And I mean, at very high, we might see, yeah, look at that frame time go up. But it's still minor than what it was happening to me on stream. But yeah, with very high, I understand it's gonna happen because of the VRAM. It's pretty much maxed out. But in high preset also, it was happening to me on live stream. But it wasn't happening in the recording. I don't know why.
Ellie, cars.
Let me know if it happens to you with high preset with this GPU.
Got it.
And right now we're getting 49 with very high. With very high settings, the LOD pop-ins become pretty negligible. They are still there.
Here we go.
It's not completely
Guess I was
gone still,
wrong.
even with maxed out
Turns out
settings.
you do know where you're going.
But it is far better. And this will be playable, I think. If we use some quality DLSS, we can get that 60 FPS. DLSS quality, here we go with very high preset. Give it some time to apply. And, can apply. Frame time is going up there. Get those spikes there as I moved. Yeah, we're getting like close to 60 FPS now. Sometimes even 60 plus. But yeah, it is not gonna be a nice experience, guys, because of that frame time and the
Sure
VRAM
seems
allocation.
quiet. Yeah. Think
You
about
will
how
see
well
lots
we hide
more
our lookouts.
plateaus on the frame
know.
time.
That's
So
what scares me.
I don't think you can utilize very high settings. Just stick to like high preset and you should be good to go, I guess, overall. Even if you don't want to use the high preset, you are pretty much good to go with the optimized settings from Digital Foundry. With those, you won't see any drops or lag, anything like that. With high settings, I have my doubts that you will see those frame drops.
Whoa.
You might
Is that
see
the
them. I
QZ?
don't know. I have seen them on live stream.
Watch the high spots.
But that's gonna be it for like 1080p resolution, I guess. Over here we're getting 80
WLA.
FPS, 90 even.
Trespassers killed on sight.
Interesting, but when I move my mouse around, as you can see, look at those
Leaves me
frame
over in the
time.
right place.
Look at that frame time
Where
graph,
is everyone?
and that is what I'm
They
talking
put up
about.
this sign.
Guys, I have switched to 1440p again, and this time we're using DLAA with the high graphic settings or high preset. So let's check this out, and we are back in the jungle area. And as you can see, we are getting like
What
54.
about those crazy cannibals
55
you said you and Joe
FPS.
ran into? They came after
Not
you
the
guys, but
greatest,
maybe these WLFs are connected to them.
but it's still pretty close to 60
Didn't
FPS.
seem like the same group.
Maybe those black market smugglers back in Boston.
Looks pretty beautiful, I would say.
Joel crossed a lot of people. I don't see the point in guessing.
Okay.
At least
I really like the greenery in this game, like especially inside the forest. But once you go outside, when you leave these forest area, everything becomes kind of whitish overall. But as you can see, we're getting that 55 FPS average over here inside the jungle area. But yeah, we might see it drop to like low 50s even at some point. Come on, run faster. Why are you so slow, horse? And there you go. Drop to like 49 there. Well, you can play this way if you want to, or you can just use the optimized settings. They will give you a slightly higher FPS as you've seen earlier. But I think with these settings with quality DLSS should probably make it playable anyway. So we're gonna try that up next.
Cars.
I'm gonna enable quality DLSS using the high preset, and now we can get 70 FPS. So yeah, if you can use upscaling, then go for it totally with the high preset. If you don't mind the quality DLSS upscaling, high preset should be fine more or less. And yeah, I think most of the time you should be staying above 60 FPS easily with these settings.
here we go.
Should not have a problem.
Guess I
Even the
was
VRAM
wrong.
allocation is
Turns out you do know where
around
you're
8
going.
GB, so that's fine as well. I don't think I need to test it any further. And I'm also going to try some 4K settings, probably with the medium settings. Once again, for 4K resolution, we're using DLSS performance this time. And we are using the medium settings preset. Let's check this out.
Wait,
It's going to struggle. It's going to drop
that's what
right
scares
now
me.
as soon as I enter the forest over here. There are a lot of trees there. It's going to drop to like mid 40s probably. Let's check this out. Dropping to 50 there. Gonna drop. Okay, we're getting 60 FPS now. So no, it did not drop there to like 40s. It touched 50 there. So quite playable, even with medium settings with a 4060, and there it
Whoa.
dropped to
Is that the
49,
QZ?
48.
Yep. Watch the high spots.
But I think this is still playable, I would say, for 4K resolution. With a 4060 with medium settings, does a phenomenal job, and DLSS performance, I can't really notice any problem with the image overall. It does a fantastic job. For the last settings, once again with performance DLSS at 4K, I'm using the very low settings preset. I'm not trying the low because I already tried it and it wasn't giving
Looks
you
like there's some
60
cracks up
plus
there. In
FPS.
the wall up
So
above.
very low might give you 60 FPS, 60 plus most of the time. It will still drop, I guess, inside the forest areas, but at least you can stay above 60 plus most of the time with these settings regardless. But obviously this is very low. Look at all the grass and vegetations popping in, and textures look a mess. This is the lowest settings probably, and there is dropping into mid 50s there. But yeah, it's a 4060. You shouldn't expect it to run like crazy with crazy high settings or even medium settings with 60 plus FPS. That's gonna be pretty hard for the GPU. But with, I think, low and very low, you should be good to go overall. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. Do leave a like if you enjoyed and if this video helped you, and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. Till then, take care and bye bye.